So I've just been informed by staff that this is the first time since COVID we have not been online. So it's
Oh, wow.
like 2 years worth of online
Wow.
thing, something close to that. So anyway, we don't actually have online ability to attend the hearing online anymore, but obviously you can get on cable and so on. So I'm still going to walk through the meeting procedure before we get started, and we'll get going. So good evening. This is the regularly scheduled meeting July 27th of the Geneva Planning and Zoning Commission. I am Scott Stocking, Chairman of the Commission. Tonight, for the benefit of those in the audience, I'm joined by Commissioner Ann Miskale, Commissioner Tim Moran, Commissioner Min Emmons, Commissioner John Mead, Community Development Director David DeGroot, and City Planning Planner Mike Nusing, and also I've got Micah Slivka. Planning and Zoning Commission meetings are live on the Geneva Broadcast Network, which can be viewed on Comcast Channel 10 and AT&T Uverse Channel 99, MetroNet Channel 93, and City's YouTube channel. Wow, that's a lot of them. I didn't even know it was on all those. This evening, the Commission will host a public hearing for Agenda Item 5A, followed by a site plan review for Agenda Item 6A. As Chairman of tonight's meeting, I will guide the public, applicant, and Commission through the public hearing process, which is outlined in the back of the meeting agenda. Please use this page for further details. Agenda Item 5A regarding requests of Venture Park project will require a public hearing. The Commission will open the public hearing. The applicant will provide an opening statement and a brief overview of their requests. Commission members will first have an opportunity to ask questions and make comments. This will then be followed by public comment and testimony regarding the requests. Audience members will be called on in person and given an opportunity to comment. We ask that you state your name and address when it is your turn to speak. If your comment has not already been made or your question hasn't already been asked, it is not necessary to repeat it. Remind the public to refrain from veering off topic and direct comments that are germane to the requests being considered. When public testimony has ended, the applicant will have an opportunity to comprehensively answer the questions or respond to any comments made from members of the public. Following the applicant's rebuttal, additional questions or comments may be stated by the Commission, but public comment will not be reopened. The public hearing may then be closed, followed by the Commission deliberation on the requests. Any person speaking during the public hearing agree and understand anything they say will be considered sworn testimony and affirmed to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. As a friendly reminder, on Agenda Item 6A regarding the site plan review for Venture Park project does not require a public hearing. However, members of the public wishing to make comments or ask questions regarding these items may do so during the public comment portion of the meeting at Agenda Item 7. In order to help the quality of the meeting broadcast, I remind all commissioners to mute themselves except when they are addressing the Commission. Commissioners are all encouraged to state their name prior to speaking and prior to providing roll call votes to better assist our record keepers. For example, Stocking, aye, yea, nay, or abstain. Okay, are there any questions? That's how we'll proceed this evening. Okay, hearing none, I'll have a roll call.
Mead,
Mead here.
Evans,
Evans here.
Slivka,
Slivka here.
Holloman, Mataskill,
Mataskill here.
Moran,
Moran here.
Stocking.
Stocking here. All right. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda for this evening's meeting.
Move to approve. Evans.
Second, Slivka.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next item is approval of the minutes of the June 22nd, 2023 meeting. Any changes, comments?
Moran moved to approve. Second, Mataskill.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So we'll start out with the public hearing item on 5A, Venture Park requests. There's two items as this portion of the hearing. The first is a comprehensive plan amendment from commercial to industrial. The second item is the zoning map amendment upon annexation of the proposed project site from rural RR Rural Single Family Residential to I-1 Light Industrial. The location pin is 12-12-300-071, and the applicant is Venture One Acquisition LLC. Matt, do you want to read anything in the record?
Yes. So the contents of this file include an application for annexation, comprehensive plan amendment, and a zoning map amendment filed by Venture One Acquisitions LLC dated August 30th, 2022. Includes a project narrative, a legal description, proof of ownership purchase agreement, a petition for annexation and rezoning, response to standards for zoning map amendment, a plat of annexation, site plan, conceptual site plan, a topographical survey, traffic impact study, land use opinion application, the Kane County Road Improvement Fee application, stormwater permit application, preliminary engineering plans, preliminary landscape plan, tree preservation plan, preliminary stormwater report, fire truck turning movement exhibit. We got the list of property owners within 500 feet of the subject property, the affidavit attesting to the accuracy of the list of property owners within 500 feet of the subject property, a copy of the letter to all property owners within 500 feet providing notice of the application being filed, a certificate of publication from the Daily Herald for a legal notice that was published on July 12th, 2023 for tonight's public hearing, a copy of the public hearing notice mailed to all property owners within 500 feet, and a staff report from the Community Development Department to the Planning and Zoning Commission dated July 27th, 2023.
All right, thank you very much. Folks who are going to testify tonight, will you please rise and raise your right hand? I need to swear you in. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. All right, at this point, we will hear from the applicant.
Good evening. Thank you, Commission, for having us. Thank you, staff, for your help in getting us to this point. Let's see. Does this work? Arrows?
Should be the arrows.
This one? Or the computer? I don't think so. Yeah. Let me see here. I might be able to figure this out. There we go.
There we go.
Got it. Sorry about that. Thanks. Okay. So, start again. Good evening, everyone. My name's Ryan Stoller. I'm a partner at Venture One Real Estate. We are a Chicago area based in Rosemont, investor and developer of industrial real estate. You know, I'll go quickly through who we are and get to the project, but we invest in, again, real estate. We develop these types of facilities. We've got a really strong track record. We've probably been one of the most active developers in the Chicago area over the last 4, 5, 6 years. This project specifically is located at the northeast corner of Kirk and Fabian Road. It's the parcel here highlighted, outlined in red. You can see it's located in an area around other similar uses. And part of this project includes, will include a new traffic signal upon Kirk Road, as well as the construction of Dawn Boulevard on Fabian as well, to improve access throughout the area. This is a rendering of what the project will look like at street level. You know, I'll leave it brief. I'm here for any questions. I've got my civil engineer as well as our landscape architect here as well for any you know, questioning that you guys may have. But thank you again for the time. We're excited to hopefully be, you know, a part of this community. And again, thank you to the staff for helping us get to this point. Thanks.
Any questions from the commissioners? Michael?
Yeah, I just had a question. You mentioned the traffic signal. So that has been approved by the DOT based on your traffic study?
It has, yes. We've gone through, Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, a preliminary hearing with KDOT and approval.
Yeah, we went to their transportation committee.
Sir, would you just please state your name again?
Sure. William Bone, Jacob and Hafner Associates. We went to a transportation committee meeting at KDOT about 5 weeks ago. We're working through the process right now. We still have to get a final permit from them, but the traffic study was approved by KDOT, and the signal was a requirement of getting their approval.
Thanks.
Mim?
I have a broader question, not one about the specifics of the development on the site, but about the change in zoning that would occur. This was originally zoned commercial because the comprehensive plan envisioned it as being developed in a way that would take advantage of the sports complexes that are over there, the Cougars and the ice arena, that there would be entertainment and retail, and it would become something of a visitor node over on that side of town. This would eliminate the opportunity to do that, so I just wanted to get a little bit of thought from the other commissioners and from staff as to whether or not that was still a reasonable opportunity to try to think about, or whether the time for that had come and gone. It's been a long time, and there's been no real interest in developing it for any of those uses. Thoughts on that?
Tim? Might as well start with the commissioners.
I share Commissioner Mims' thoughts on this. So the sub-district, not the correct term, has only been around since 2012, if I'm not mistaken, which really is only about 10 years, which in the grand scheme of planning isn't all that long. We recently approved 1 million square feet over in the industrial park, which I think was appropriate. But the industrial park isn't the gateway to Geneva. This is the first thing most people are going to see when they hit the Geneva border coming off the expressway. It is very large. It is going to consume most of this site. So my concern is that it's very large. I know that industrial construction right now continues, at least for the moment, to be the developer and the investor's vehicle of choice, but recent studies, recent reports indicate that that may be slowing. This is being built on speculation. There is no identified tenant. Company who shall remain nameless. We turned back a proposal, not because of construction, but because, at least in part, of a 24-hour possible operation, which is disruptive in terms of traffic, disruptive in terms of neighbors. And I'm not convinced that the original identification of this site for commercial purposes has passed its prime. I can certainly be persuaded otherwise, but those are my thoughts, and I think I share Commissioner Evans' concerns on this.
Okay, Michael?
If I just ask, staff, has, over the past, 10, 11 years or more, has there been much commercial interest in this property?
Not to my knowledge, no. I think, to Commissioner Evans' point, the plan was adopted in 2012, and at that time, there was a master plan being proposed for the Settlers Hill property across the street that included a variety of recreational uses, including expansion of the golf course, a potential hotel site, a potential band shelter. There was a number of entertainment type uses being proposed as part of that master plan. There's been some decisions made that some of those uses aren't going forward, like the expansion of the golf course and the band shelter, and there hasn't really been any other development kind of in alignment with that master plan. So I guess the short answer is we haven't really seen that commercial interest in the last 10 years.
Adam?
I guess I have a couple of questions for you, just along the lines of, proposing this building on spec.
Sure.
I'm sure you looked at comps in the area, what's been recently built. So I guess my question is, what do you believe is going to differentiate you from what's currently vacant right now? I know that you had mentioned the developments that were just built by, I believe it's Hillwood, that was approved. There's additional 274,000 square feet on State Street that's available. I know the height-wise is a little lower. Can you kind of just talk to why you would
Sure.
differentiate yourself?
Yeah, you know, more broadly speaking, you've seen the interest in these types of facilities because the demand is there, and it's, you know, it's a function of really, you know, a fundamental change in how we get all of our stuff, right? I mean, everyone here probably orders online, and that is a function of here and of these types of facilities. And then everything you hear about supply chain logistics and, you know, China, and I mean, that's all driving more uses here. And so, you know, the negative things that you're hearing about office space, you know, offices in a deep decline right now, and retail space, it's not happening in a vacuum, and a lot of that is becoming, you know, uses are really going or trending towards facilities like this. And so, yes, you're right, there are other facilities in the area being built. However, generally speaking, in the area, the vacancy rate is at 3% right now, which is an all-time low. You know, historically, you know, stable, you know, general healthy vacancy rates were north of 8%. And so, you know, we view that, the market views that as still a really fundamentally strong vacancy rate, and that there is more of a need for these types of facilities. And just to address previous comments about the, you know, the commercial viability of this site, I know that the current owner of the site, Batavia Enterprises, Austin Dempsey, some of you may know, for you know, as long as he can recall, they've been pursuing those types of uses. And you know, to a previous comment, there hasn't been that interest. It's this location, just from a retail. First of all, retail is not in high demand right now, and if it were, this doesn't check the box for what a lot of you know, retailers would necessarily be looking for a site like this. So, you know, we think it fits into this area. It you know, has very similar uses on you know, on 3 of the 4 corners of this intersection. Most all traffic would be heading due south and not coming through the community, and it's not around any residential. So, you know, hopefully the Planning Commission agrees with our view that it would be, you know, a good asset to the community. I mean, we wouldn't be spending a significant amount of dollars speculatively if we didn't have the confidence that there would be a demand for this type of use.
Okay. As an additional question, I reviewed the traffic study. Some of that is beyond my pay grade to really assess. But my question is, the determination of the traffic, the additional traffic that's going to be added based on the 720,000 square foot facility, on your project narrative, you have a list of varying different uses. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't the traffic change significantly based on one use versus the other? Like how, I guess maybe you can speak to it, I'm not sure if you can, but like
Sure.
How wouldn't it change it just completely from one use to another?
Yeah, no, you're right. Different uses drive different traffic counts. For the traffic study that was conducted, there are industry standard project codes that essentially make a very educated guess based on thousands and thousands of previous iterations of this to essentially estimate the type of traffic that this facility will drive, and it's a conservative measure. So generally, the user that comes in will be less than what this traffic study contemplated, and again, that's based on this specialist traffic consultant conducting thousands of these over time, and you know, selecting again a specific, what's called an industry code for a facility like this.
Got it. And then my last and final question is just, especially based on the size of the facility, and then the press release on one of your recent funds that funded, what type of work would you do as far as ESG LEED certification for a facility of this size? Like, what would you envision?
Sure. So, you know, a lot of what we do to construct these buildings now are do take into account ESG type of improvements. You know, we haven't gotten to the point of actually drawing the formal permit set that takes into account, but you know, LEED certification is one component. Green Globes is a certification. You know, LEED is a buzzword that everyone knows.
Solar, let's say solar, like how big of a cost?
Okay, so we're doing a solar project right now on a facility we're building for Microsoft. It's a LEED Platinum building up in the Rockford area. You know, the solar use, there are users specifically that sometimes request it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in Illinois right now it's cost prohibitive to put it up, especially speculatively. You see there just aren't many facilities with that on the roof. We just don't get enough sun to justify the cost today.
Mm-hmm.
There are other improvements such as you know, water saving natural plantings, you know, detention ponds that are you know, again, dry bottom natural plantings. You know, maybe Bill can speak to that a little, our civil engineer, better than I, but there are a lot of improvements that we make consistent with, again, the LEED certification point system that qualify. And we do that, one, because it's, you know, we're good citizens, sure, but we do it because the users are in demand of that as well. And so, you know, economics tend to drive good practice, and that's, you're seeing that as becoming standard in how we would design this as well. You know, LED light fixtures inside, efficient energy, heating systems, et cetera.
Got it. Okay. Thank you very much.
John?
Thank you. I'm also sensitive to the 2012 master plan and long-term plan regarding commercial, but and I think we should be thoughtful if we're going to go against that or go away from that. But I also feel, as I think about it, I have seen this site empty for years and years and years. If I was a commercial user, I just don't really think there's a ton of demand drivers today in this particular area. You've got 70 baseball games a year. You've got the hockey facility, an ice facility that has in-house retail and in-house restaurants. I think that a commercial user would be more prone to go along State Street and or the Randall Road corridor, where there's plenty of opportunity to still fill in. So I think if we do wait, or if we decided that this is something we wanted to preserve, it could be a long time before this landowner could find someone that wanted to you know, develop a commercial use. There's a little bit of tension there, but I think it's something we should be thoughtful about. But this would be a good industrial site, I think. I'm sensitive to Commissioner Moran's statement that if you have a 720,000 square foot building, ideally you'll get 3 or 4 users. I don't have any problem with the spec, because I know the nature of industrial users do not want to wait through a pre-development phase or a construction phase. They want the space, you know, 60 days from now or whenever it is. But I also don't think I think the community would be sensitive to a big user, a shop online tenant that would be 24/7 creating traffic issues and everything else. And I don't know how to approach that with you, if there are any ideas, or I don't know that we can limit the tenant. And once we've allowed an industrial use, so that would be something that would not be met with a lot of receptivity from the community, to have a big user like that so close to State Street.
Yeah, I could, for what it's worth, we did design this building to be demised into smaller users. I can definitively state on the record that we are not speaking to an online retailer that may have expressed interest in this community before. And, that said, we have done developments for that user, so, we do not have a relationship with them with respect to this site. But that's why we designed 4 different office pods, and there's dual points of entry, and there's good circulation, and so we can demise this unit into smaller, this building into smaller units, and that's how it was designed.
All right. Okay. Any other comments? None? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, we'll take public comment. Again, if you come up, please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. David Walenciak, 578 Lexington Drive. I really try to look at this in a neutral way. I don't live, it's not going to affect me directly. I'm on the north end of the east side. And I've been before this committee before, both very negatively when the Amazon thing was proposed, and then for the Fox Valley Commerce, we were here supporting it. So it's not like we're anti-business, anti-warehouse. But I don't feel this project on this parcel of property really conforms to the nature and the character of the city or what was originally intended by that strategic plan. And I'd like to express some of my concerns and the reasons for that. If you take a look at the standards for map amendments, there was 2 questions that were answered by the applicant concerning the map amendments. I will try to address both of those at the same time. The question number 1 was, is the proposed project consistent with the existing uses of property within the general area of the property in question? And the applicant responded yes, that light industrial use is consistent with the other uses proposed to the north and east of the subject property. The problem is there's 2 other directions. And is the proposed zoning classification of the project consistent with the current comprehensive plan? And we know the answer to that is no. However, the applicant did say, however, the applicant believes that the trend in the area is toward light industrial, which is compatible with the surrounding project land uses. I'm all in favor, well, I won't say I'm in favor, I'd rather see a nice park, but from day one, I've always said, fine, put in all your industrial warehouses. If you want to put all your eggs in one basket, so be it. But I always felt that there should be some kind of a buffer zone, a transition along Kirk Road, what people are seeing, and to utilize Couts Road for as much truck traffic as possible. And the same thing, Kirk Road is one of our 2 main corridors that go north to south. And it's feeding people that are working from Elgin to Aurora, vice versa. You've got the outlet mall, you've got a now casino that's going to be going up further down the road. So you're going to have a lot of traffic going up and back. Traffic, it's going to happen. Randall Road is the same way. In fact, I would say Randall Road is even heavier traffic. The big difference is Randall Road is wide, there's plenty of space on the sides, there's big shoulders. Then you take a look at Killer Kirk, which we know has been around for years. It's a narrower road, and the big difference is you are now mixing a vast amount of cars with a huge amount of truck traffic that you don't see on Randall Road. And that's where you're just, at least in my opinion, asking for a lot of problems. We really need to be careful what we're doing, because I think we're just asking for trouble. It is true most of the property to the east of this property is designated for industrial, but the property where the venture park is designated right now commercial. The commercial designation provides a transition or buffer zone right along Kirk Road before you get to the other proposed future industrial projects east of where this warehouse would be. And again, we have no problems, but we feel that there should be some kind of a corridor, something that you see, that when you drive through Geneva, the quaint little town of Geneva, you're not seeing warehouses right up to the edge of the property. I propose that the originators of the strategic plan had that in mind, and that's why they called it out for commercial. And I think that's also what a lot of the residents are now asking for. The original Southeast sub-plan, or sub-area plan, did call out, they envisioned to mainly serve this area, the commercial uses, was envisioned to mainly serve and complement the existing recreational uses, the baseball stadium, the soccer facility, the ice arena, and golf course. What I'm getting a feeling is we're basically writing that off. You know, everybody that I talk to that, you know, I tell them, oh, I live out in Geneva. Oh, Geneva. And the three things that they mention, the nice shopping along Randall Road at Geneva Commons. Great place. Then you've got Main Street and you've got 3rd Street, the old quaint town feeling. And then along Kirk Road, you've got the sports theme going on. It sounds like we're sort of writing that sports theme off. At least that's the feeling that I'm getting. And again, the original creators of that sub-area plan, I don't think that a warehouse right along Kirk Road, and I have nothing against this developer. They put a lot of work into this. I'm sure that they can build a beautiful building. It's just that I have concerns to the members on this board. Are we doing this in the right place? You have to realize, just looking at what we're already putting in and what we're proposing, especially along that Couch corridor, it's going to be a lot of warehousing, a lot of warehousing. I also submit that the light industrial use, although consistent to what may be built to the east in the future, is not consistent with the other directions on the map. To the north, right now it's called out as residential. It's RR, and it was actually being planned for residential at one time, and it does not address what is to the west. Of course, the ice arena, the soccer facility, the baseball stadium, the golf course. And to the south, you've got the Comfort Inn and Suites, you got the Country Inn Restaurant, and the spa. I'm just wondering how long they're going to stay around when they're boxed in by a warehouse. I think that's a real good question. And who would even want to go to that, listening to the noise and everything else from trucks? Again, we don't know. Is this a 24-hour operation when the trucks are making and breaking with the trailers? I mean, I'm hoping Geneva's going to be willing to soundproof the Comfort Inn so people can sleep there at night. You know, I kid about it, but it is reality. There needs to be that buffer zone, and that buffer zone should be anything other than just a truck-intensive warehousing. And I guess it is where it comes down. I have nothing against truckers. My father was a trucker. It's just that if you ask most truckers where they would want to live, do they want to live next to a warehouse? No. They want to live out in the country away from all of that. And one of the big problems I have is with the docks and the trailer parking facing and close to Kirk Road. The one thing, we see this nice building here, and if you look at the other warehouses, we always put the good side facing the street. In this case, you've got the loading docks, and then you've got trailer parking that's right along Kirk Road. I don't know if we have any other precedents in the town where we've allowed that. And again, I think there are other uses, you know, if it's not some kind of a sports-related business, what about some stores? One thing on the east side we all complain about is, where is our shopping? You know, why do I have to go to Randall Road for everything? Okay, we've got all these, now we got a meat market, a Dunkin' Donuts, but I mean, really, you know, it would be nice if we had something along that corridor. And again, why, what about medical facilities, offices, research, other businesses that maybe bring in a little higher paying jobs? Another thing that I noted, there was a City of Geneva affordable housing plan. It was a 2020 update. And it shows that specific property be for potential affordable housing usage. And the overwhelming majority of all the affordable housing sites were on the east side, and most of them are already being swallowed up for warehousing. There's going to be nothing left. I mean, I don't know where you're going to put any housing. So really, when it comes down to it, nobody in the past has really suggested that specific property be used for industrial and warehousing. Now, my biggest complaint about this, when I first saw this and what turned me off, is that the good sides of the building with the auto parking and the doors to enter are facing north and south. The west side is facing, which is facing Kirk, has the 62 loading docks and 2 drive-ins. And it's fairly close. From what I can calculate, I didn't see an actual dimension, but I kind of scaled it. It looks like the closest point from the back of the trailers to Kirk Road is about 185 feet from the roadway. And that could even be closer if Kirk Road gets widened out to 6 lanes someday. And then to make things even worse, the parking lot where the trailer parking along Kirk Road, that's at the elevation of like 800 feet. And it appears to be about 13 feet higher elevation-wise than Kirk Road, which is at 787. So we're looking at, so not only are we looking at a warehouse with trailers parked all along Kirk Road, but we've now elevated it above the roadway. In fact, if you take a look, the entrance off of Kirk Road to this planned project has that S-curve, and there's a retaining wall around it. That's for the incline to get up to the property. But again, now they do have a berm shown for trees and that, but the berm is still well below the parking lot level, the grade level of the parking lot where the trucks are parking. There would be additional and possible excessive truck and trailer noise to the Comfort Inn, and I don't know how that's going to be addressed. Again, it all depends who the tenant is, and is this a 24/7? We don't know. We have no idea at this stage, and I don't think the city has any control over that once it's allowed to be put in. And then you have all the negative aesthetics to the people visiting and using all the existing sports-themed businesses, and also going to the Comfort Inn and the Country House restaurant. Will trailers and loading docks facing Kirk Road help to promote Geneva's quaint and tranquil theme? That's a question I think you need to ask yourself. Again, if this wasn't right along the main roadway, have no problem. I mean, what is it, MIF, is that the project that's going to go? No problem. No problem whatsoever. Again, it's because I personally, and I think a lot of other residents, again, I don't live even in that ward, but I'm looking out as a resident. I'm a member of Geneva, and I'm trying to speak out for all of Geneva. I just feel that there needs to be some kind of a corridor, a buffer zone. And I think that's what the original planners of that strategic plan wanted. You take a look at, let's say, West Chicago and what they did. They have their big industrial park. And that's why, I mean, common sense, I'm realistic, would love to see all parks in there. It's going to be warehousing with the MIF and all that, and it meets and will look like what they have in West Chicago. The one thing, though, when you go to West Chicago is you go, down 38, you look at these huge warehouses, but they're set way, way back from the main roadway. Huge berms. You don't see even the docks. Here, you're going to see the docks, and they're elevated up 13 feet. So again, is that, you want to have the Welcome to Geneva sign, and that's the first thing you see. Again, this is being as a speculative industrial facility for one or two prospective tenants. Again, we're looking at, and I heard mention about the warehouses that we currently have that we don't have tenants for, but that's not looking at the whole picture. What about the over, 2.6 million square feet that will be added just by the MIF project? So you not only have to rent this out, you're going to have to rent all that out, plus the existing warehouses that we just put up that don't have tenants yet. And what is the tax revenue of this versus other commercial or residential uses? What are the type and level of jobs and the income that are going to be brought in by this type of development? One thing I would want to, and maybe the applicant can address too, is this building is long and narrow with doors on both sides. Since nothing is spelled out as a tenant, could this be used as a cross-dock facility? And I know there's many different levels of cross-dock facility, but, if it was used as a highly intensive cross-dock to move stuff in and out of there, the amount of truck traffic that we're looking at across from what was a sports area could be tremendous. So for these reasons, I'm asking this commission to please look at the big picture. I think we're at a breaking point right here. Once this is done, does this mean that all of Kirk Road on that east side is going to be warehouses all the way to 38? And do we start getting rid of the sports places and that'll be warehouse? And again, do you want to put all your eggs in one basket? The best analogy that I can use is that one time somebody thought that ash trees were a great tree, very hardy tree, and we built subdivisions with them. And then when something went wrong, what happened? The area is devastated. It's all gone. So that's about it. Anybody have any questions for me? Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else wants to speak on this matter?
Hi, my name is Hendrik Reich, 674 Green Meadow Lane. It'll be hard to add anything to what David has said because it was very comprehensive already. So I'll try to keep it short. My first point is, as a resident, Kirk is one of the main roads to go from Aurora to Batavia to Geneva and St. Charles. So it is not one of the industrial back roads like Couts, where the other projects that we recently looked at are located. So it will be my personal opinion, I wouldn't want to see another warehouse there. Second point I have is, it actually says it even in the development documents that are out here, it's against the comprehensive plan, so that was not the original intention. In the past, we have said the comprehensive plan defines what we consider and what we go by, so we should stick with that. Considering what has been said, there's been about a 10-year gap now. Should we consider something else? Looking at this, what's in the documents right now, it basically says it aligns with the signalized intersection at Kirk, so with traffic developments. I personally do not think that outweighs changing the comprehensive plan for this. And my last point is, looking at the strategic plan in contrast to the comprehensive plan, there's a sloppy work on my end because I can't say all the bullets that are in there, but I do know industrial development is not in there. When we talk about the strategic plan, we talk about people wanting to be happy in Geneva, being healthy, taking bike trails, having a lot of trees. There's nothing in there that says we want to develop our community into an industrial park. And with all of the other warehouses that have recently been approved and that are being built, to my knowledge, none of them are leased out at this point. I do not think we need another one. And that's all I had.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Anyone else wish to speak on this map?
Good evening. My name is June Marr, and I live at 33W 568 East Lane Road. And if you have the map back up, I can show you exactly where it is. I'm glad to hear many of you refer to the Southeast Master Plan and what that vision was at the time. We've been living in this neighborhood 30 years, and so we've been paying close attention to what goes on, and we, of course, certainly enjoy it the way it is. So when the city of Geneva developed the Southeast Master Plan, which was adopted in 2012, at that time there were presentations to the community, and I got to go to those, and one of the features that stood out to me at the time was the inclusion of a bike path, which is clearly labeled on the maps for the Southeast Master Plan, and I'm certainly happy to see it on one of the handouts here. And within that Southeast Master Plan, on page 14, I'll read that passage. It is recommended that bicycle and pedestrian access through the site is anticipated to follow the roadway network. The design of this access is recommended to be an asphalt bike path similar to the path existing along Averill Road. The closest regional trail is the Geneva spur of the Illinois Prairie Path, which runs east-west with a leg at Couts Road. A pedestrian connection from the internal roadway network to Illinois Route 38 and Couts Road intersection, where it can follow an existing trail north to the Prairie Path, is recommended. Likewise, a bike path extension from the Fox River Trail already runs along the north side of Fabian Parkway to the west side of Kirk Road. Therefore, it is recommended to construct an extension of the bike path across Kirk Road and the existing development into this study area. The planned reconstruction of Illinois Route 38 and Couts Road intersection will bring the bike path south over to Illinois Route 38 on the west side of Couts Road, where the path will then continue east along Illinois Route 38 into the DuPage Business Center. Currently, the path ends at this intersection, and that's the close of there. So I felt at the time that a bike path was a nice inclusion to the stated goal of the SEMP project. It was an outreach to the community of the neighborhood, an effort to develop this area in a way that reflected the values of the community of Geneva, an intent of good stewardship. Now, I've seen many very nice business parks, and a lot of them do have pedestrian walkways and bike paths, and you know, I thought that was a nice thing. You know, that would soften the blow, and I'd probably be the first person on that bike path, even as an old lady. Now, and I will go back again and read the this is the goal that begins the SEMP. The goal is to describe the city's vision for the future of the area, expectations for development and redevelopment, and recommendations on land use, road connections, utility extensions, access and circulation transit, and open civic spaces. Close quote. So recently, at another meeting I attended on a different matter, an alderperson from Geneva commented on the pride that they had in this SEMP. And I agree, the original intent, which was presented to us, had merit. Again, a vision of good stewardship. So now it is 2023, and as I said, we live in this neighborhood. We're going to see, I will pass this building every day of my life, and I will see MIF Park out my kitchen window, more or less. Of these 3 developments that are currently being proposed to this area, including Venture Park, there is no longer any mention of any bike path. What was once proposed as a bike path on the map now shows it running through this warehouse. Actually, on the original plan, there were 2 buildings there when we were considering it being commercial. Now the bike path just runs through that warehouse, and of course, it runs through Building 5 and the MIF Park. So somewhere along the way in this development process, and I hope that you can enlighten me, I feel, and I hope I'm wrong, that the vision has changed. So what I would like to understand is the who, what, when, and why the bike path is no longer become a part of the overall plan. What happened to the stewardship? I'd like to know if the Venture Park group ever saw the Southeast Master Plan. Is this simply an oversight? Did someone just tell Venture Park, oh, don't worry about it? Maybe it was just something nice to show the people and give them a warm fuzzy back in 2012. So I would actually like to hear from both the developer first and from planning and zoning, if you can. What happened? I also, those are my questions. I was also asked by someone else who could not be here this evening that on the Venture Park, within the Geneva development section of the Geneva website, Venture Park has posted marketing literature to promote this warehouse as if it already exists. And apparently that marketing brochure has the Geneva City logo on it. And some people feel that this is, a little out of sorts or sketchy and promoting something that hasn't even been, you're just talking about it this evening. So again, I brought that up for someone else who had concerns. And I wasn't going to mention it, some other things, but since there are not that many people here, I want to talk about the visual aspect of the building itself from a design standpoint. Very good points have been brought up about the truck traffic and all that, but I'm an industrial designer, and I've got to say, you've got block after block after block after block, and you know what? Up and down Kirk Road, we're tired of looking at block after block after block. It's not very imaginative. This, after all, is the Prairie State. I think you would be better served. And you can go up and down Kirk Road and see much better examples of very large buildings that don't scream, I'm a big block. You could use, of course, you have used color, and that's nice. And I think your color choices are better than some of the garish blues that I've seen. but I think you'd do much better to use horizontal shapes. Stretch the building out, make it more part of the landscape, make it look more like it belongs in Geneva. Also, in your landscape plan, which I don't say it's a bad plan, but trees don't grow in rows. And again, with the berms, I saw the berms. I didn't really anticipate the height of the berms, but you can do a lot more design-wise for really no more cost to make this a more pleasant building. If it comes to that, it should at least be better looking. I want to thank everybody for your time, and I hope that I can get some answers. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, I have one last thing.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Someone on the dais mentioned that this land is empty. It's not really empty. It's currently being used to grow alfalfa, which is a commercial cash crop. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good evening. Mark Sartell of 548 Lexington Drive. I also have had the opportunity to address the commission in the past, and I'll keep my remarks very brief. I don't have much more to add than what Mr. Walenziak had to state about our concerns about Kirk Road. As Commissioner Evans pointed out to start with, as that property was originally designated commercial, there were a variety of definitions included in the comprehensive plan for the use of commercial, which included not only warehousing and distribution centers, but also spoke to industrial, office and research, and other similar issues. When we talk about commercial development, we're not talking necessarily about restaurants or retail shopping centers. There are many other purposes for which that land could be used. And I think a perfect example is the property that lies north of Averill Road and Kirk Road near our Peaker plant, where there is light industrial office complexes, small manufacturing firms in there, which coincides very well with the townhouses across the street from it, the Geneva East complex just to the north of us. And we would welcome something like that. And as we look at the available property sites on Geneva's website, I'm just wondering if we have in fact exhausted all of our efforts in our marketing to bring in some office or research type of businesses or light manufacturing that would be more stable, more long-term businesses that would produce the tax revenue that we're looking for. And it's becoming a very busy corner down there at Kirk and Fabian, and just kitty corner to this property, we see that land being cleared and developed for what we understand will be an Amazon facility. So that's going to generate a tremendous amount of truck traffic out onto Kirk as well. I'm not sure we need a competing warehouse exactly kitty corner from that. So I guess what I would like to ask, and a couple of questions I have concerning zoning, is when we came before this commission 2 years ago about the proposed Amazon facility across from us on Kirk Road, we talked a lot about the I-1 classification and what, if any, modifications could be made to that classification to make it more restrictive. And nothing really seemed to come out of that discussion. And we saw in the newspaper recently the efforts by the city of Naperville to amend their ORI designation, Office Research and Industrial, which coincides with our I-1. And it appears from what I've been able to read from their meeting minutes of their Planning and Zoning Commission, they addressed that in trying to restrict the growth of warehouses along I-88 through Naperville by making text amendments to the definition of their ORI classification. And apparently, those text amendments have been approved. So now it makes it much more restrictive for warehouse applicants in how they go about making application to the city of Naperville. So I'm wondering, is that something possible for the city of Geneva? And maybe the difference is Naperville is a home rule community. We are not. They, I'm sure, have much more latitude in what they do locally in proposing things to their community. But I guess I would like, first of all, to know, have we exhausted all of our efforts to market that as a commercial property for lighter use? And secondly, can we go about addressing this I-1 designation that would make it more restrictive for warehouse and distribution centers and high truck traffic businesses from continuing to grow on the east side? We're looking at upwards of 15 to 20 warehouses that are being proposed between West Chicago and Geneva along Couch Road and now Kirk Road. And the whole east side is just being inundated by that type of facility. So I would just petition the Planning Commission to consider some of these things. Is it the best use of that property? Do we want to add to more traffic and noise and pollution along there? And can we go about some legal process to address our zoning classifications to make it more restrictive for warehouse businesses? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Any more? No? All right. Applicant.
Thank you, and thank you all for your comments. I do appreciate them, and I'm going to try to address some of them, and hopefully, hopefully we can kind of, you can hear our position and our thoughts, and again, Commission, please feel free to interrupt me and ask any questions as well. But I'll start here. One of the comments that was brought up was that this project is not consistent with its surrounding the surrounding property types, and I'll say we think that it is. Due east is obviously the technology park, industrial development directly across the street. That great vacant parcel that you see, again, this plan right, due south, that is owned by Aldi's distribution. That is their future expansion land for their facility directly adjacent. Kitty Corner is a new development that was mentioned. That is in Batavia. That is not an Amazon facility. It is another speculative facility. Again, it's still under construction. They do have users that are interested. I'll pause and say a lot of these other buildings that are under construction, they do have users. Usually, it's not until a building is complete and finished that a user actually comes to occupy. So we think it does fit well within this area. Another point that was brought up is the neighboring specific businesses, Comfort Inn specifically. As part of this project, we have been in communication with the owner of Comfort Inn as well as the landowner on the other side of the future Dawn Road. We're actually receiving cooperation from both of them for this project, so we haven't received any negative feedback from them. Again, they're actually helping grant some easements to KDOT for the construction of this road. I think that the construction of this building will drive daytime traffic, yes, but businesses, consumers for these businesses, whether it's Comfort Inn or the restaurant. Again, a facility like this isn't just, the warehouse of today is very different than the warehouse of 20 years ago. These are very expensive, high-tech facilities, and the worker in there is it's not an entry-level minimum wage type of job anymore. A lot of these facilities come with 5, 10, 20,000 square feet of office. Those have salary positions within them. I referenced initially that the pullback in the office market, I mean, you're seeing along the 88 corridor, big office projects going into default and becoming vacant. But a lot of those workers not only are working from home, but some of them are relocating to cohabitate essentially with a company's operations. So this will have a worker component as well. Another comment is with respect to landscaping. And I just want to, let's see if I can get this working again. Spend a little time on that. This is a detail of, this is our overall landscape plan, but this sheet here shows a detail of Kirk Road. This is the southwest corner, continuing north. And if you see, we've packed as many trees as we possibly could in this area, and it's a variety of evergreens and deciduous, and these are in addition to a berm. This is above and beyond what is required by code, and we think that the combination of the berming and this intensive landscaping will look nice along Kirk Road. You won't be hit with a building. You'll be hit with a whole lot of trees, evergreens, and deciduous, and landscaping on top of a berm behind a pond. So, hopefully that softens some of the concern about about lack of landscaping, because we actually of the two consultants that we brought, one of them is our landscape consultant, so I'm happy to give him the platform as well if you have specific questions about the landscaping, but that is something that we did pay specific attention to. Another comment was about a bike path. Our project actually does include an extension of the existing bike path. If you look plan bottom left, it's the northwest corner. There's currently a bike path that travels up Kirk Road to the north to the driveway for the ice rink, where we will be installing a traffic light. We'll then be and it ends there. We'll be continuing that across the road, and then up to the north to Old Kirk Road to the end of our property line. That concludes my responses. But again, we think this project fits really well within the area. We certainly think that there is a need for a facility like this. Otherwise, we wouldn't be spending the tens of millions of dollars to invest in the community. We hope you guys agree. And again, thank you for the time and the platform. And hopefully we can be a member of your community.
Any questions from the commissioner at this time? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Yes, Tim.
Mr. Commissioner, or Mr. Chairman, if it's in order at this point, I would make a motion to close the public comments section of the meeting.
Do I hear a second?
I have a question before we
Yes.
do that. I feel like this is a tough one. If we want to consider this further, I'm not sure, is it right to close the public hearing now or not? unsure about that.
I agree, it's a tough one.
I would say that if there's additional evidence or information that the commission is seeking, then I would recommend leaving the public hearing open and requesting that information. But if you feel like you have the information you need, but maybe need more time to deliberate, you can close the hearing. You don't have to deliberate and make a recommendation tonight. You can continue that portion of the meeting to the next regular meeting.
What would be helpful to me would be additional information. I mean, I know you can't redo that Southeast Master Plan in a couple of weeks, but it seems to me that it'd be helpful to get some advice from staff on overall thoughts for this southeast area at this point in time, given the amount of time that has passed since the original plan was developed, other sites that are available, the overall amount of industrial space that we are approving, the warehouse space within the city, and especially all on the east side, as far as I can recall. I just feel like there's a need for a little deeper analysis of the big picture for this parcel, not necessarily the details of this project, but of the use, the comprehensive plan question. That's what I feel. I'm not sure that I'm ready to make a decision on that, and more information would help.
Anything else from the commissioners on that?
I tend to agree with what Commissioner Evans said. This is a tough one. Regardless of what I think about the site plan itself, that comes up later.
Mike.
Oh, I'm sorry. Regardless of what I think about the site plan itself, which will come up later, I just think I appreciate Commissioner Evans' continued and regular appreciation and honor of the master plans we've developed thoughtfully for the community. And when we're going to change them, we should be really thoughtful of that. Layer on top of that the sheer amount of industrial space that we've seen, approved, not approved, and have in the pipeline that charges us with being continually and even more thoughtful. Resident Sartell brought up a point. I think there was some energy around the time we looked at Amazon to seeing what we could do with our zoning criteria or our definitions of I-1, and I think we had some near-term traction, but I think that's been lost. I don't know if that died for a reason, or if that's something that we can address now, or is there any energy in city staff or on the commission to seeing some of that discussed, similar to what happened in April? I don't know what they did.
Just due to the sheer volume of this kind of development across the country, there's more and more focus on how to deal with this in a more comprehensive way. You know, City of Chicago's dealt with it. You know, a gentleman mentioned Naperville. It's pretty pervasive now, whereas in the beginning, I think it's part of the problem is just the sheer, to me, again, I'm just speaking, right, the sheer scale of what we're seeing. You know, it seems like this is the only game in town in real estate right now. Like, housing's not getting built, commercial's not getting built, nothing's getting built but warehouses. And so it's like anything else in an economic cycle, eventually it will end. And if we've used all our property, all of our vacant land for industrial uses, it's unlikely, I'm not a market expert or anything, but it's unlikely that they remain fully occupied. It's just the nature of the market. So that's the big thing that I'm concerned about is, like, you know, if we take this off the commercial potential and just continue to feed the beast.
Or even the housing potential that was brought up.
Housing potential, any other
Affordable
potentials.
housing. You've said we don't have
Again,
enough
I think
sites.
we've done a fair amount of industrial warehousing development, in this commission. I know how the rest of the commissioners feel about that, but we've done our part, and there is more to come. So at this site, I don't know. Yes, Tim?
Scott, I would just add, I'm looking at an article, July 13th, from Crane Chicago Business. The vacancy rate for Chicago area industrial property rose for the second quarter, according to a report from Colliers International. So, going back to my original comment, that the size of this is a major concern to me. And unlike the project we approved in the industrial park, which A, you don't really see unless you're looking for it, and B, is 4 separate buildings. Once this is constructed, if that market goes away or even diminishes, then there is the real possibility that we have a white elephant, a building with a considerable portion of which will take great amount of time to find a tenant for.
I just would like to kind of, we started the conversation just talking about the master plan and have we given it enough time since it was adopted in 2012. I moved here in 2011. I've seen quite a change in Geneva as far as the interest in development. I think we need to take into account what's being developed there currently, what's going to be proposed, what's being proposed in that area, which are a lot of warehouses, which are a lot of employees. And I, in my opinion, don't think we've given that enough time to bake as far as commercial, because all those people are going to need to get something to eat. They're going to go to the bank. They're going to need to get a cup of coffee. All those uses are going to eventually be needed because of all of this employment that's going to be added to those areas, which wasn't there the last 10 years. So I think, there's no doubt this is a need in real estate right now. I follow it quite a bit, but I think giving up what was in that master plan is it has to be for a pressing need of the community, whether it be housing, whether it be, I don't see that this is such a pressing need based upon the vacancy rate that we already have existing. So that's just kind of my, off the top of my head and just thinking through this the past hour, is that I think we just haven't given it enough time to bake based on what's being developed the past 2 years and what's going to possibly developed as far as, industrial and commercial in that area in the next 5 to 10. So.
Yes, John?
Question for staff. We haven't seen the MIF project, which is going to be south of 38, an extension of Couts. And I've spent maybe a minute on it on the development website, but in the master plan, it's got a roadway coming west off of the Couts extension all the way over to Kirk Road. This particular proposal would abandon that. Can you share with me, is that in the, and I know it hasn't been, it's not baked, it's not coming to us soon, but is that also abandoned in that proposed development?
That connection is abandoned. Right.
So the prospects for that connector, another east-west through the industrial parks or commercial corridor, that's not going to happen, assuming MIF gets proposed, yeah. Because that could be a relief valve for some truck traffic getting over to Couts.
That focuses it all on the primaries. Yep.
So, David, is there a reason to not, is there additional information you could bring to us that we should have to weigh this decision? Is that a reason to not close the public hearing, or do we have all we're going to be able to get?
I think we could probably do a little bit of a deeper dive on the history of the SEMP, the history of the Settlers Hill land use plan, kind of the demand we've seen over the past 10 years for uses in this area. There was a comment made earlier that industrial development is not an objective of the city's strategic plan, and that's not accurate. If if you look at the strategic plan, under the economic vitality section, there's objective 2, which calls out and develop a resilient local economy through the development of new commercial and industrial opportunities that add to the city's tax base. And then it gives you a number of action items, which include, furthering the development of the Southeast Master Plan, the extension of Couts Road, the extension of Geneva Drive, amongst a number of other items. So it is definitely a priority of the city to expand that tax base with new industrial and commercial opportunities. And I think that's what's a little bit different about Geneva than when you compare us to like a Naperville or Chicago, is that we don't have a large industrial tax base to say we've kind of accomplished that goal and we can start being a little more restrictive. We're still building out our industrial parks. But I guess to answer your question, yeah, we could take a little deeper dive if that's the will of the commission.
Then I would move to keep the public hearing, I don't know if you have to make a motion, but I would keep the public hearing open. Continue the public hearing, yes, so that we can get some more background information.
To a date certain? How much time do you need?
Well, yeah, it should be the date.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we need to have a date. So I guess Tim's motion failed because he didn't get a second. Sorry, Tim.
Well, the second motion makes no sense unless the motion is to end the hearing where we are right now.
Right.
Continue it to a different date, at which time we will be
Yeah.
presented with additional information.
Right.
There's no point in continuing this discussion
Right.
if we're going to continue this to a different date. So if the motion is, we will not close public hearing, we will leave it open, we will end this hearing now with instruction to city staff to bring us additional information and then pick this up at a later time. If that is Commissioner Evans' motion, then I will withdraw my motion. But if it is not, I ask that my motion be voted on.
Okay. Fair enough.
That is
That is,
my motion, yes.
yeah, and I think we need to keep it open because, again, whatever comes out of staff, the public should have a chance to comment on it. So,
The next regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission would be August 10th. Somebody approved vacation time for the city planner between now and
that's
then.
not possible. We don't give you guys time off. That's just not, we don't do that.
And we have some other items coming up on
Out-of-town guests.
other dockets. So I think to do a thorough job, I think the 24th of August would be our preferred date.
Okay.
The
24th,
24th? Oh,
not the next meeting date, but the.
And I don't think we have any other.
I won't be here the 10th, but I will be there.
At the moment, no.
Sure, I will either.
You won't be here the
Won't be
24th?
here the
I'm
24th?
not sure I will. It's possible, but doesn't look good.
After Labor Day.
Yeah, I mean, that puts us into September 14th.
I'll be gone. The 14th. I'll be in
John, you're
Quebec,
retired.
Canada.
You just can travel like crazy. I know. I'm jealous.
I'm here on the 14th.
Okay.
That works for me.
So what's wrong with the 24th? How many?
Tim is gone.
Tim's gone.
And is that the only absence on the
You know,
24th?
So far, Tim's it.
If the 24th works for everybody else, I'll figure out a way to be
John,
here.
I thought you were going to be gone, but no.
I
You're
can
good for the
switch
24th?
24th, I'm fine.
Okay, 24th, you're fine?
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we can do that then.
Okay.
We'll miss Tim, but,
So you have to make your motion with that date.
yeah.
Okay, so then I move to continue to the public hearing to a date certain of August 24th, 2023.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Mead,
Mead, aye.
Evans,
Evans, aye.
Slivka,
Slivka, aye.
Madaskil,
Madaskil, aye.
Moran,
Moran, aye.
Stocking.
Stocking eye. Okay, so
So-
we got that until the 24th, so.
So then do we put off doing the site review until after that? Yes.
Continue that as well.
Right, okay.
Do you need a
Would
motion?
they not benefit from some feedback on the site plan? That they could, I don't know.
You can certainly provide feedback. I would just, we would need a motion to continue the actual deliberation and recommendation
Yeah.
until the next meeting as well.
Yeah, I do not think we should vote on the site plan until we've made the decision here.
For sure.
But if we wanted to give them the benefit of any feedback we could give them now, if some of us had commentary, that,
Proceed? Okay. All right, so I'll open up, so that's it for 5A. So we'll now move to 6A, which is the site plan review. It's for Adventure Park, request for a site plan review of a proposed industrial development. The location, again, is PIN 12-12-300-071, and the applicant is Venture One Acquisitions LLC. Gentlemen?
we ready?
We are ready.
All right. I mean, when I look at the site plan, and this is all under the assumption that the property is annexed, the zoning is changed, and the master plan is amended. The speculative nature of the development does not bother me, as I stated before. However, I share Mr. Walenciak's concern about
Got that right.
what you see from Kirk Road. We've got other industrial projects inside and outside of Geneva, and more particularly south in Batavia. You've got a lot of stuff. You don't have a 83 or 63 or whatever it is truck docks facing the road. It's hard to insulate that with landscaping that has to be maintained, with berms, with the height differential. And 720 might be a magic number as far as making the ROI, but when we had the site that's off Couts Road now that's being developed, those folks turned the building and it had interior-facing truck docks with a shared pad between the buildings. If this was two buildings with the trucks in between, that would make a world of difference, because all your car parking would be along Kirk Road and then in the back, and you'd have your truck parking facing north and south, which would be much more palatable in my mind. Of course, you're going to lose some square footage, and I don't know I don't know if it takes it from 719 to 650 to 600 or whatever it is, but I'm struggling a lot with having that many doors facing Kirk Road and the proximity of the building to Kirk Road. So that's just something you should know that I'm struggling with as we are now continuing the other hearing for a month, so.
John, do you have anything further, or is that?
No, that's it.
Okay.
That's my.
Anybody? Yes, Michael.
Yeah, and just following up on that, on that comment, I mean, I guess one downside is if the docks go on the other side, they back up to the hotel and the restaurant. But would it be possible to develop some sections from the road through the building, some sightline views to better show how the building is going to appear from the road?
Yeah, so I'll commit to our next meeting to come prepared with some cross-sections, some site perspectives, street view renderings that will give an accurate, artist rendering, but,
Yeah.
attempt to make an accurate view of what someone would see from Kirk.
Okay, good, thanks.
Anything else from anyone? Yeah, I would appreciate that, because again, the building, the fact that it's elevated from the street, so just what the total impact of that, at least get some idea of that. Anything else? No? Okay. That was quick.
Move to continue the site plan review.
Yeah, we have to just move to,
Move to continue the site plan review to a date certain of August 24th, 2023.
Second, Mead.
moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Mead,
Aye. Mead, aye.
Evans,
Evans, aye.
Slivka,
Slivka, aye.
Madaskil,
Madaskil, aye.
Moran,
Moran, aye.
Stocking.
Stocking eye. All right, so we'll see you gentlemen on the 24th. All right, thank you.
you.
Thank you. All right, so next is the public comment portion of the meeting. This is for anyone who's present who wishes to address the commission. Gentlemen, anything? Okay. I don't hear from anybody in here, so I guess we can move on to other business. Matt, what we got going?
So, as I mentioned, we don't have any projects on the agenda currently for the August 10th or the August 24th outside of the Venture Park continuation. I'm not expecting to have any projects added to this August 24th meeting, but we'll see what happens with our current kind of stash of reviews. I would expect several maybe projects going before the commission in September, so just be aware that we'll probably have some. I think we have one variation that just came in that'll probably be a quick review coming in September, and then we have a couple other projects that are also nearing completion of staff review. The only other thing I had was just an update on our last meeting. We had the Cooper Woods re-subdivision that came before the commission that was approved by City Council, and that is all I have.
Okay. Very good. Oh.
Sorry.
Come forward. Still here.
David Walenciak, Lexington Drive. The only question I have is, do you have any status on the Bullock project?
We have not received another submittal yet from the Bullock Campus project. We're still waiting for their most recent submittal, and that'll have to go through another round of staff review. But as of right now, we do not have an update.
That we're eagerly waiting for.
David, I don't know if David, do you have any?
They've just been working with the Kent County Department of Transportation on their access points along Kirk Road, signal requirements. They've also been talking to the property owners to the north in St. Charles regarding the Division Street extension, because part of that would be on their property. So that's just taking some time to work through those items.
Okay. So it's nothing on the City of Geneva's end that's holding up?
No, we're currently waiting for that resubmittal after they kind of work through those issues.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And if I can just ask too, just to clarify for staff, exactly what sort of information we are hoping to receive at the next meeting at the continuation. I know we talked about kind of the history of the Southeast Area Master Plan, maybe looking into the history of the Sellers Hill Plan.
I'd like to get a magnitude of the industrial development both in West Chicago, or really adjacent to this, and within our own boundaries, and then also in St. Charles, because I know it's Pheasant Run, the golf course is now two warehouses.
You know, it would
So
be-
every time I turn around, I see a couple more warehouses. So it's like,
The walls go up quick.
I'm like, wow, like last time I walked through here 2 weeks ago, there was nothing, and now there's a warehouse sitting on here. And so just the overall amount that's going on within our general vicinity, and also within the Batavia area, within,
Sure.
out to Fermi, what's going on? Is there stuff in the docket for Batavia potentially that we don't know? I don't look at Batavia's planning docket, so I don't know if they've got any additional pending projects on their side of the boundary. So just to get an overall grip on what kind of volume we're talking about, and what we've approved, and what's been, potentially pending. That's what we know of right now. That would be very helpful.
It would be great if you could map what we've approved in Geneva, at least, if you can map all of it.
Specifically
nice, so we can-
industrial?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the other thing that would be helpful to me would be, again, I like to see maps.
Sure.
Where are our Geneva's remaining parcels of significant size?
Yes. Particularly for housing.
Yes.
Again, this site, mentioning housing and the amount of workers that are in this area now. Yes.
You're talking about a map of the existing approved industrial, plus a map of vacant sites, plus plus maybe note on some of those parcels where industrial is being considered, like the MIF and others, right? So-
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
update you can give us on the
Not
status
just
of
the
those
approved.
sites.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting down to it. I mean, in
Yeah,
terms of
soon.
significant size parcels, there's not
That's right.
many. So,
Our options are limited.
yes, Michael, I'm sorry, I haven't looked over there
No,
recently.
What about also, any just kind of quick comparison, since this is planned for commercial, what would this site support commercially in comparison? How many,
Good point.
how many square feet, what coverage, parking spaces, things like that?
Okay.
And I know it could vary, but just,
General.
Just a general, if
some
it
kind
was
of, something general to
in a
compare.
general build-out, yeah, and then just an overall idea of what it would be, yeah.
And then we talked about the zoning initiatives in some of the other communities to tighten up some controls on this kind of development. Anything you could share with us on what might be an option for us to add here?
Yep.
It's a lot.
What other communities are doing and what we might consider, because I think there was a level of interest at the time of Amazon in considering fine tuning our,
There was some discussion, and it was brought to the city council in the strategic planning session, I think that was 2 years ago now.
okay.
And at the time, there was not a desire to move forward with any amendments to our I-1 district.
Really?
So it wasn't just, it was discussed with the council, and it just wasn't pursued after
So
that
if the
discussion.
plan commission desires that, is that something that you then take back to them?
Can certainly petition council to say, we would think there's something that needs to happen here.
I mean, what's the driver? I mean, is it,
I mean, it is.
And it's been 2 years.
It's an initiative the commission can take, is to request a text amendment, or text amendments to the zoning ordinance. I think we're in a difficult position because we have active applications on these properties, and kind of changing the rules on them midstream is really not something we can do. So, I mean, it's not that to say we can't have the discussion going forward, but
correct,
We
but
can figure it
we
out
could also
mechanically.
then control when something gets implemented.
Yeah, we
maybe
can
when there's
handle it
not some active,
mechanically,
not
yeah.
an active pipeline.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
could be that there's a appropriate point.
Yeah.
If we're going to change something.
Well, they're
to change.
clearly grandfathered, and they have a petition before the commission, so. But yes, there's mechanics we can do to deal with that issue. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested in that. Again, when we were first doing with the Amazon thing, I think that suddenly brought it to my attention, and I started asking around. I have a good friend of mine that works for the Department of Environment in the city of Chicago, and he mentioned they were going through a huge review on that. And a lot of that stuff's been published since, and they've made some modifications to try to deal with some of the community issues that we're seeing where these old industrial sites were turning into warehousing sites. And it was a major issue with the neighborhoods, definitely.
Is that enough, Matt?
I think that is a good amount for staff.
I
A lot of
think
work.
it's only a
I know
couple of
it's a lot of
weeks, you
work.
know, that's like,
Not go to the next meeting.
yeah.
Appreciate all the additional work.
We shouldn't have asked.
That gives us some clarity there, Matt?
Yes, it does.
All right,
Thank you.
good. And David. Okay. All right, anything else from the commission at this point? I think we did some good stuff today. Anything else?
Move to adjourn.
All right, thank you, ma'am.